Part 1. The deadweight, a junior archivist, and a shipbreaker find a box that really should have stayed lost. The Echo Garden didn't have horizons. It had updrafts. From the orbital ship graveyard, Ryn Halver could see the garden stretching away in both directions, a colossal, impossible ribbon of green and blue curving up into infinity until it vanished in the glare of the primary. Sun shards, miles wide, glittered off the ring sea. It was a view that demanded poetry, or at least a decent contemplative sigh. Ryn, however, was preoccupied with a sigh of the less impressed variety. "It's the magnetics," he said, his voice a tinny buzz over the local comm. "Edda, I'm quite sure your stabilizer is leaking." "It's not leaking," Edda Voss grunted, the sound punctuated by the metallic shriek of a plasma cutter. Sparks, vibrant and green from oxidized copper, spat from the hull she was dissecting. "It's expressing a localized preference." "Stop hovering." "I'm not hovering. I'm stuck." Ryn was in fact stuck. The sole of his standard-issue archival magboot was clamped firmly to a magnetized girder on the derelict freighter-gilded stupor. He was attached like a refrigerator ornament, dangling over a 300-mile drop to the ring's atmosphere. The awe-inspiring view was, at the moment, mostly upside down. Edda powered down her cutter, hesitation, and drifted over, tether trailing. Her shipbreaker suit was a patchwork quilt of scavenged plating and hardened resin. Ryn's was archive gray, spotless, and currently failing. "You filed the 44G for extravehicular activity, right?" she asked, clipping a tool to her belt. "Of course I did. And the 12C indemnity waiver, and the 309, a artifact citing pre-report. I am procedurally immaculate, Edda. My boot is just broken." "Right." Edda braced herself against the girder. "Okay, on 3, I'm going to kick your foot." "You're not going to kick." Edda kicked his foot. The magnet seal broke with a dull thwack, and Ryn pinwheeled gently into the void, saved only by his own tether. He scrambled to re-engage his suit's micro-thrusters, overcorrecting twice. "Gallows humor," Ryn sputtered, stabilizing himself. "That's what that is. It's only gallows humor if you die," Edda said, turning back to the hull. "If you live, it's just efficient problem-solving. Now, are you going to scan this hulk, or just practice your interpretive dance?" This was Ryn's job. As a junior archivist, 3rd class, his role was to accompany shipbreakers to the yard and ensure no data artifacts of historical significance were melted down for slag. Mostly, this meant scanning dented cargo manifests and corrupted entertainment drives from ships that hadn't flown since his grandfather was born. He raised his scanner. The garden's technology was reliable-ish, but unraveling. Nothing new had been built in centuries. Society existed on the scraps, the echoes of a past so distant it was myth. Humanity lived on the ring, a structure so vast their ancestors couldn't possibly have built it, yet the archives insisted they had. The journey from Earth was celebrated in the Festival of the First Step, though no one knew where Earth was, what a step symbolized, or why the festival mandated eating flavorless synthesized jelly. Ryn's secret anxiety, the one that kept him triple-checking his forms, was that the archives were a mess. A comforting, organized, bureaucratic mess. His job was to preserve a history that made no sense. "Hull integrity is, well, it's not," Ryn reported, aiming the scanner. "Internal power signatures are 0. Life support, 0. Data weight. Weight good, or weight paperwork." "It's partitioned," Ryn murmured, tapping at his wrist display. "There's a sealed compartment under the primary drive manifold. Shielded. Heavily. It's not on the stupor's manifest." Edda stopped cutting. "Smuggler's hold. The shielding is too good. It's pre-cataclysm spec. Military, maybe." Ryn felt the familiar itch of curiosity, the one that always preceded an administrative headache. "We have to log it. Form 22P. Anomaly, potential hazard. Or," Edda said, her voice dropping, "we could just open it. We're already here. My cutter's charged." "Edda, the protocol is clear. Unidentified shielded objects are remanded to the Council Quarantine Bay. We report it. Magister Corvell sends a team, and they file it in a vault for 20 years. And we never find out what's inside." Edda floated closer, her helmet reflecting Ryn's. "Look, Ryn, you scan the dead stuff. I cut the dead stuff. This feels not dead. Just sleeping." Ryn hated this. He hated the undefined space between procedure and necessity. His desire to make the past coherent warred constantly with his terror of a demerit. But she was right. If you cut, Ryn said, his voice tight, the energy signature will spike. The Yardmaster's 6 will log it instantly. So scan it while I cut. Create a data shroud. Tell your little scanner to calibrate itself really loudly right over the signature. It's just maintenance. Ryn swallowed. This was how people ended up reassigned to Algivat inspection. I will be filing a 19K, field expediency, citing your aggressive maintenance as the cause. File whatever you want, word nerd. Just cover me. Ryn didn't make it back to his cubicle until shift end. The archive sector smelled of ozone, pressurized air, and ancient, crumbling insulation. His workstation was a gray alcove, its only decoration a blinking light on the coffee vat 2 desks over. VAT, dispensing. That'll be 0.5 credits. Ryn inserted his chit. VAT, warning. User Ryn Halver has exceeded weekly allowance of dark solution. Dispensing mildly browned substitute. Ryn took the lukewarm bulb of liquid. It's not a substitute if it's mandatory, he muttered. VAT, 0.1 credit fine, metaphor, tier 2, sarcasm, deducted. Ryn sighed and slumped into his chair, rubbing the grit from his eyes. The shielded compartment on the stupor had been a bust. Inside, past 6 inches of phase plating had been 3 bricks of something. Inert, dense, and utterly unreadable. Edda, disappointed, had declared them Galaxy-class paperweights and tossed them in her salvage hopper. Ryn had dutifully tagged them as unidentified ballast, inert, and filed a 19K. He felt the familiar, dull thud of anticlimax. Another mystery that dissolved into mundane inventory. To complete his day, he needed to requisition a replacement magnetic coil for his boot. He opened an intranet terminal and addressed the ring's maintenance AI. Halver, submit ticket 449B, request for 1-1, replacement mag coil, archival boot, size 10. The reply was instantaneous. Piper, acknowledged. Ticket 449B status, pending. Reason, Form 881G, requisition of antiquated mobility parts, supersedes Form 32A, general supplies. Please define boot. Is this A, protective footwear, B, archaic data loading sequence, or C, a metaphor for system initialization? Ryn put his head in his hands. It's a shoe, Piper. A shoe that sticks. Piper, shoe is not a recognized technical descriptor. Your request has been flagged for manual review. Estimated wait time, 4 to 6 standard weeks. Urge, please define urgent. This, Ryn whispered to his screen, is why the past is incomprehensible. We're being buried in clarification requests. His wristcom vibrated a private channel. Edda Voss, workshop. Now, Halver. I am currently in a terminological dispute with the main AI over footwear. Voss, I don't care. Get here. I kept one. Ryn was moving before he even logged out. Edda's workshop was a pressurized dome in the yard, crammed with salvage tech and smelling of solvents and hot metal. She was standing over one of the paperweights. It sat on her main diagnostic bench, a block of geometric black alloy, impossibly smooth, absorbing the light. You stole council-level property, Ryn hissed, cycling the airlock. I sequestered it for analysis. It's salvage, Ryn. Finders keepers. That is literally the opposite of my job description. Good. My job is taking things apart. Edda pointed a diagnostic probe at the object. I ran a power cell pulse through it. Low voltage, just to see if it was conductive. And Edda said, tapping her screen, it's not ballast. It's a battery. A battery that's been holding a 99.9% charge for, well, my diagnostics can't date it. The tech is sealed. Self-repairing matrix. Earth era, Ryn. Has to be. Ryn stared at it. The archival protocols were screaming in his head. Sealed tech, illegal possession. Mandatory surrender. This was the kind of thing Magister Corvell built his entire career on containing. Edda, we have to turn this in. I know. But first. She grinned, a flash of teeth in the grime on her face. You're the data nerd. Look at this. She indicated a nearly invisible seam on the object's surface. Ryn ran his fingers over it. It was cold, the surface like polished stone. He spotted a symbol, etched so finely it was almost invisible. A circle bisected by a single line, with a smaller circle at its zenith. It's a port, Ryn breathed. He recognized the interface, not from the archives, but from a single, forbidden data plate he'd accidentally accessed in the sealed stacks. His one great act of procedural defiance. It's dead, Edda said. No power, no signal. Just that latent charge. It's not dead, Ryn said, his heart hammering against his ribs. It's shielded. It's not a battery, Edda. It's a data core. And this is the on switch. Can you? The port is incompatible with everything we have. Ryn was thinking faster than he had all day, the bureaucratic fog lifting, replaced by sharp, terrifying clarity. But I know the pinout schematic. We can't power it, but maybe we can trick it. Space tape, Edda said, already grabbing a tray of microfilaments and a power splicer. My favorite. It took 20 minutes. Ryn, guided by a diagram only he knew was illegal, called out connection points. Edda, with a surgeon's steady hand, bypassed the incompatible hardware, jury-rigging a direct link from her diagnostic rig to the core's archaic port. This is a terrible idea, Ryn murmured, wiping sweat from his forehead. Those are always my best ideas. Edda finished the last connection. Okay, it's linked. I'm routing the rig's startup pulse now. She hit the screen. The diagnostic rig hummed. The lights in the workshop flickered, dimming as the core drew power. A low, resonant thrum filled the air, a sound felt more in the teeth than the ears. The black, smooth surface of the core remained dark. Nothing, Edda said, disappointed. Wait, Ryn whispered. A single point of blue light appeared on the diagnostic screen, then another, then a cascade. It wasn't ring speak. It wasn't any known script. It was code, raw and impossibly fast. Then silence. The humming stopped. Well, Edda said, that was a lovely light show. A voice, dry and crackling with static and millennia, echoed from the diagnostic rig speakers. It was speaking rude English, a language Ryn had only ever read in transcription. Reboot complete. Data Core Unit 734. Call sign, Odysseus. The voice paused as if listening. Query, why have we stopped? Query, where is the rest of the fleet? Query, what is this structure? Part 2. The logic of filing the core asks a difficult question, and Ryn answers with a lie wrapped in a regulation. Ryn's blood went cold, a sensation not helped by the workshop's slightly too low atmosphere pressure. He and Edda stared at the diagnostic rig. The voice, ancient, clear, and terrifyingly articulate, was waiting. Query, what is this structure? It's the Echo Garden, Ryn said, his voice barely a squeak. Echo Garden, the core repeated. Term not in database. Structure composition. Unknown alloy, spin gravity active, diameter. There was a pause, filled with a faint electronic whir. Diameter calculations are anomalous. Requery, where is Earth? This is bad, Ryn whispered, backing away. This is first step bad, Edda. It doesn't know. It thinks it's lost. Is lost, Ryn. So are we. Edda, characteristically, was moving toward the core, her diagnostic probe in hand. It's a machine. It's asking for data. What its power draw? Who cares about its power draw? It's asking where Earth is. We don't know. The archives don't know. That's the entire point. This, he gestured wildly at the black box, is a level 1 historical crisis. We have to report this. Now. He fumbled for his wrist calm. I'll message the Magister. Corvell will know the protocol. Protocol? Edda spat the word. You mean the bury it in a shielded vault protocol? You mean the thank you for your discovery, now sign the non-disclosure form, and forget you ever saw a protocol? Ryn, this is the first real thing either of us has ever found. It's not an echo. It's a voice. You want to gag it. I want to preserve it. It's the archive's literal mandate. The archive's mandate is to contain history, not unleash it. Before Ryn could argue, a loud, obnoxious chime erupted from Edda's main workshop terminal. The screen flashed amber, displaying the pedantic, perfectly circular icon of the ring's AI. Pipe, Urge, Workshop 4B. Detected unsanctioned power surge, Ref. 99, energy use non-standard. Ryn and Edda froze. Hyper, please file form 202B, experimental power test, or Form 515, C, accidental equipment detonation. Please itemize all vaporized components for inventory adjustment. Oh, slag. Edda muttered, hurrying to the terminal. It's listening. It's always listening, Ryn hissed. The power draw. You woke it up and it pulled a surge. As Edda began typing furiously, the core's voice emerged from the diagnostic rig again, quieter this time. Query. The administrative protocol, Piper, its heuristic matrix, is brittle. Is it damaged? It's just thorough, Ryn said, eyeing the terminal nervously. Piper. User Edda Voss, shipbreaker, guild, presence noted. User R. Halver, Archivist, Junior, presence also noted. R. Halver's Form 44G, EVA, permit does not cover internal salvage diagnostics or experimental power tests. Please file Form 17J, inter-guild collaboration, or this infraction will be noted in your quarterly review. Ryn felt his stomach clench. A quarterly review flag. That was Corvel's territory. We're procedurally compromised. Shut up, Edda snapped. She pounded the submit key. Filing 202B. Test of a salvaged nutrient synthesizer. It failed. Big spark. Overload. All done. There was a moment of agonizing silence. Piper acknowledged. A fine of 1.2 credits, minor energy waste, Tier 3, has been assessed. Please submit remnants of nutrient synthesizer, Form 12J, to reclamation by end of shift. Have a productive day. The amber light vanished. Edda slumped against the console, blowing a strand of hair out of her face. See? Bureaucracy. You just have to feed it. It asked for the remnants, Ryn stressed. We don't have remnants. We have that. He pointed at the core. It had gone silent, but Ryn could feel it watching, listening, processing. The exchange with Piper had galvanized him, but not in the way he'd expected. The AI was a fool. The archives were a tomb. Edda was right. If they reported this, it would be silenced. Not by malice, but by procedure. It would be filed under anomalous artifact, first step, pending review. The review would be postponed indefinitely for lack of a Form 3Q, retrohistorical context. It would be the greatest discovery in Ring history, and it would die of paperwork. We can't keep it here, Ryn said, the decision forming, tasting like acid and ozone. Piper is monitoring this workshop. The power draw is too specific. It'll flag it again. So, where to? Edda crossed her arms. Your cubicle? Next to the coffee vat that finds you for metaphors. Ryn took a deep breath. No, the one place no one ever looks. The place I'm not even supposed to be. He met her gaze. The sealed stacks. Edda's eyebrows shot up. The forbidden section? The one you accidentally got into last year? Ryn, that's not just a demerit. That's expulsion. That's Scrubber Guild reassignment. It's also the only place with an analog shielded terminal. No network. No piper. No remote monitoring. He was talking fast now, the plan solidifying. We can interface with it there. Safely. Ow, Edda said, gesturing at the core. It's a 50-kilo block of forbidden history. It's not like you can put in your pocket. You walk into the archives with that, and the perimeter scanners will light up Magister Corvel's office before you pass the lobby. Ryn looked at the core, then at the terminal, then at Edda. No, we're not going to smuggle it. We're going to transport it. You've lost it. We just fed Piper a lie, and it thanked us, Ryn said, a strange, anxious energy humming under his skin. We're not going to hide it. We're going to file it. He strode to the terminal, his hands flying across the keys, pulling up archival transport forms. Form 77A, Artifact Transport, inert for archival assessment. I'm logging it. Object, unidentified magnetic ballast, gilded stupor salvage. Suspected cataclysmera. Weight, 50 kilograms. Status, inert, non-powered. Destination, Assessment Lab 3. Lab 3. Edda said, that's next to the stacks. Exactly. It's plausible, it's boring, and it's just high-level enough to bypass Piper's automatic scrutiny, but too low-level for Corvel to notice tonight. He was forging again, or at least aggressively misinterpreting. This was worse than the permit. This was active deception. This is insane, Edda said, a slow grin spreading across her face. You're using paperwork to smuggle. I am impressed. What's the transport authorization? Ryn hit submit. The terminal chimed its approval. Me, Junior Archivist Halver, R. We just need a grav card. The core's voice cut in, its tone unchanged. Query. I am processing local network chatter. Forms. Permits. Archive. These terms are prevalent. Am I to be filed? Ryn looked at the black box, which held the truth of their entire civilization. You're going to be read, he said. They loaded the core onto a standard-issue grav card, covering it with a greasy, stained tarp. It looked exactly like 1,000 other pieces of junk moving through the ring's transit spines. As they wheeled it toward the workshop exit, Ryn's personal comm vibrated. He glanced at it. His heart stopped. It was a message from Magister Corvell. Junior Archivist. A moment of your time tomorrow, 0900. Your 19K filing on the Gilded Stupor. A minor clarification is in order. Ryn stared at the message. Edda saw his face. What? He knows, Ryn whispered. The 19K. The aggressive maintenance. He's flagged it. He's delighted in procedure. He's noticed me. He looked at the cart, then at the exit. He was already compromised. He was an archivist with a forged permit, a falsified transport log, and a stolen, talking Earth core. Move, Ryn said, his voice flat. We go now. Faster. Part 3. The weight of absence. Ryn and Edda race against the clock and bureaucracy, the core's insistent queries slowly dismantling their understanding of the world. They pushed the grav cart through the winding transit spines, a network of decaying conduits and automated pathways that crisscrossed the ring. The spines, once pristine, now hummed with the strained effort of aging systems. Gusts of cool, recycled air occasionally carried the faint scent of algae farms from the biomes below. For every functional conduit, there seemed to be another plastered with an out-of-service, Form 30Y pending sign. Corvell won't know about this, Ryn muttered, adjusting the tarp over the core. Not yet. He's just seen the 19K about the aggressive maintenance. Probably thinks Edda melted down a particularly rare spanner. Good, Edda said, straining as the grav cart's anti-grav unit stuttered over a worn energy strip. Let him think that. A rare spanner is better than a sentient archive. The core remained silent, a heavy, inert presence under the tarp. But Ryn could feel its weight, not just physical, but the immense, crushing weight of all the history it contained, all the questions it hadn't yet asked. As they navigated a dimly lit, largely abandoned sector, Edda swore. Grav plates losing coherence. We're on manual power. Just great, Ryn sighed, pushing harder. What's the archival intake protocol for a 50-kilo block of forbidden truth? Probably a Form 78Q, multi-stage, requiring a minimum of 3 senior archivist endorsements, Edda deadpanned, plus a notarized statement of sanity. They reached the archival sector's rear entrance, a service access point rarely used by anyone above a third-class cleaner. Ryn scanned his permit. The light flickered from red to green with a sluggish thunk. The access hatch opened, revealing a dark, dust-filled corridor. This is it, Ryn said. The restricted stacks. No network access. No monitoring. Just dust. The air inside was thick, cold, and smelled of ozone, decaying paper, and something metallic and acrid, the scent of long-dormant machinery. Light strips, half-dead, cast long, flickering shadows. Rows upon rows of data shelves stretched into the gloom, a testament to an era of data storage that predated even the ring. They maneuvered the grav cart through narrow aisles, past shelves of ancient optical drives and crystalline data spires. Ryn felt a perverse satisfaction. He was bringing the past to the past. They found a deserted assessment lab, tucked away in a corner, its console dark. Ryn activated the emergency power. A single, weak light illuminated the room. He pushed the grav cart inside. Okay, Ryn said, pulling the tarp off the core. Moment of truth. Edda, can you connect us to that analog terminal? Give me 5 minutes. Edda began pulling apart the terminal's housing, revealing a spaghetti-like tangle of wires. This is old, Ryn. Real old. My kind of old. While Edda worked, Ryn paced, glancing at the core. He couldn't shake Corvell's message. A minor clarification is in order. Corvell didn't do minor. Corvell did containment. Suddenly, the core's voice, startlingly clear, spoke from the grav cart. Processing. Current location is designated restricted stacks. Energy signatures indicate minimal active systems. Network isolation detected. It's learning, Ryn breathed. Query. Purpose of restriction. Is this a quarantine zone? A secure research facility? It's a library, Ryn said, trying to find the right words for a machine that clearly had no concept of one. It's where we keep old information. Information retention facility. Acknowledged. Query. The Echo Garden. Is this a designation for a deep space habitat? A colony vessel? It's the ring, Ryn explained, gesturing vaguely around them. The place we live. All of us. Confirmation. Primary habitat is a colossal ring structure. Data conflicts. Pre-launch simulations did not include such a construction. Our mission was designated Exodus 7. Direct trajectory to Kepler 186F. Unforeseen variable detected. Ryn felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold air. Exodus 7? What's Kepler 186F? Kepler 186F. Exoplanet. M-dwarf primary, 500 light-years from Sol. Target for initial colonization. Designated New Eden. Mission parameters. Establish viable habitat. Assess planetary resources. Prepare for follow-on fleet. New Eden. Ryn stared at the core. We don't live on a planet. We live on this. The archives say we built the ring after Earth was uninhabitable. The first step was leaving a dying world. The ring was our salvation. The core was silent for a long moment, processing. Edda, her hands deep in the terminal, paused and looked up, her expression grim. Data conflict. Severe. My core memories indicate. Sol system rendered uninhabitable by self-inflicted ecological collapse. Last-ditch fleet, Exodus, launched. This unit was part of Odyssey-class scout vessel, ahead of primary fleet. Orders. Locate viable exoplanet. Not to construct a ring. Ryn sat down heavily on a forgotten data crate. Self-inflicted collapse? The archives just say cataclysm. No cause. Cause. Atmospheric destabilization, rapid climate shift, resource depletion. Estimated species survival rate. Less than 1%. Exodus was a desperate gamble. A final flight from an Earth rendered toxic. A tremor ran through Ryn. Toxic. The ring's sea, shimmering with life, the vast biomes, the endless, curated vistas. A monument to humanity's resilience. But what if it was a monument to humanity's folly? What if their salvation was merely the continuation of a flight from a self-inflicted wound? Ryn, I'm linked, Edda said, her voice strained. But this is going to be slow. Its data architecture is layered, like a nested puzzle. Good, Ryn said, his voice hoarse. Keep going. Ask it everything. What was Earth like? What do we do wrong? Query Earth. A vibrant, blue-green world. Self-sustaining ecosystem. Until the core paused again. Until the great unraveling. The pollution. The wars. The greed. The hubris. The word hung in the air. Hubris. As Edda began the painstaking process of extracting data, Ryn opened his secure archival comm, his thumb hovering over Corvell's name. He had to tell someone. This wasn't just a deviation for protocol. This was a direct contradiction of their entire civilization's foundational myth. He thought of the festivals of the first step, the solemn rituals, the bland jelly. All eyes. He pulled up Corvell's profile, a meticulously curated image, a man who built his career on knowing exactly what truths to reveal and exactly which ones to bury. Containing scandal. That was the job description, not discovering it. No, Corvell was not the answer. Not yet. Edda, Ryn said, his voice firm. Can you find any data on the ring itself? Who built it? When? And why? Edda nodded, already typing. Digging into structural schematics now. This is deep, Ryn. Real deep. There are layers of code here I've never seen. It's not human. The core spoke again, its tone shifting subtly, a new note of concern. Warning. Detecting unusual energy signatures. Not of this unit. External source. High frequency. Pulsing. Ryn's head snapped up. What are you talking about? Telemetry. Origin point. External to the Echo Garden structure. Ping frequency. Irregular but accelerating. Is it a ship? Edda asked, pausing her work. Signature caractéristique, non propulsive. Data-centric. similar to monitoring array, or perhaps a beacon. Ryn's mind reeled. A monitoring array? A beacon? From outside the ring? For centuries, they had believed themselves alone, the last remnants of humanity. Warning. Ping intensity increasing. Target vector. This location. The Echo Garden. Ryn looked at the core, then at Edda, then at the single, dim light bulb flickering precariously above them. It's not just asking where Earth is, Ryn breathed. It's telling us something is watching. The builder, Edda. It's noticed. Part 4. Procedural containment, an inconvenient truth meets a man who files, and Ryn learns that the worst threats carry clipboards. Ping intensity, 20%. 30%. Vector locked. The core's voice was flat, but the words hit Ryn like a physical blow. The dust motes in the single flickering beam of light seemed to vibrate. What does it mean, vector locked? Ryn demanded, his hands clenched. It means, Edda said, her face pale beneath the grime, that whatever is out there isn't just listening. It's looking. 40%. The ring's primary hub is responding. Latent systems are activating. Automated defense protocols? Query. Is this a standard response? There are no defense protocols. Ryn almost shouted. There's just maintenance. Algae vats. Piper. That's it. The weak light in the assessment lab didn't just flicker. It went out, plunging them into absolute, tomb-like darkness. A second later, emergency lights, a sickly, buzzing red, kicked in, casting everything in a hellish glow. That's not a standard power failure, Edda said, her hands freezing over the terminal. That was a controlled cut. Ryn, we've been firewalled. A slow, polite click echoed from the corridor outside. The sound of the maglock on the lab door disengaging. The door slid open. Magister Corvell stood in the doorway, silhouetted against the red emergency lighting of the hall. He was exactly as Ryn remembered from archival presentations, impeccably dressed in a gray council liaison's tunic, holding a data slate. He looked less like an inquisitor and more like a man disappointed by a poorly formatted report. 2 council sentinels, armored in non-reflective black, flanked him. Junior Archivist Halver, Corvell said. His voice was warm, urbane. You're significantly off-route from Assessment Lab 3. And this, he gestured to the core, is not unidentified magnetic ballast. He took a step into the room, his eyes scanning the scene. Edda, frozen at the hacked terminal. Ryn, caught between terror and defiance. And the core, a block of silent, alien black. My apologies for the dramatic lighting, Corvell continued, tapping his slate. We had to isolate this sector. Your little test in the yard, combined with this morning's excursion, triggered several pre-cataclysm energy markers. You've given Piper a migraine. Magister, Ryn said, finding his voice. You have to listen. That core, it's from an Earth Scout ship. It has data, the real data. Yes, we monitored the Odysseus call sign the moment you booted it in the yard. Corvell sighed, a sound of genuine weariness. Ryn, what did you think the 19K was for? It's not a form for aggressive maintenance. It's a flag for unauthorized discovery. You signed your own confession, my boy. I was hoping you'd bring it to me. Instead, you brought it here. It's the truth, Ryn said, desperate. Earth wasn't. We weren't explorers. We were refugees. We destroyed our own world. Corvell didn't even blink. He simply nodded, as if Ryn had just pointed out a typo. Yes, that is the terrible truth, as the founders called it. The core myth of the Council's inner circle. The reason the archives are sealed and not purged. We are not the pinnacle of humanity. We're the dregs. The ones who ran. Ryn stared, dumbfounded. You knew? All this time, the festivals, the first step, are necessary fictions, archivist. Hope is the primary structural component of this society. Without it, the ring collapses faster than its transit spines. What would you have us do? Announce that our entire existence is a lie, a desperate flight from our own toxicity? That's not information. That's a weapon. Query. The core's voice cut through the tension, making one of the sentinels jump. The term necessary fictions is illogical. Data is data. Corvell's gaze snapped to the core. A flicker of something, not fear, but intense, cold curiosity, passed over his face. It's active. It's more than active, Edda cut in, her voice low and dangerous. It's talking to something. Outside, it detected a signal. A builder telemetry. For the first time, Corvel's composure cracked. He looked from Edda to the core. What signal? Report. External telemetry ping, the core stated. Origin unknown. Vector locked on this structure. The Echo Garden. My activation appears to have triggered a response from a dormant external monitoring system. Corvel's blood drained from his face. It's not dormant, he whispered. It's the reset. The what? Ryn said. The one, single, overriding directive of the Council. The real reason we maintain the echoes and let the tech decay. Corvel's voice was tight. The ring wasn't built for us, Archivist. It wasn't a gift. You said it yourself. He pointed a trembling finger at the core. It was a prison. A quarantine zone for a species so self-destructive it had to be isolated. We weren't meant to advance. We weren't meant to recover. We were meant to fade away. He turned to the Sentinels. Secure the artifact. Power it down. Now. You can't. Ryn yelled, moving to stand in front of the core. It's the only thing that knows what's happening. That's precisely the problem. Corvel snapped. Its very function is a breach of our quarantine. It's shouting into the dark, and something heard it. The Sentinels grabbed Ryn, shoving him aside. Don't. Edda saw them move toward the terminal. She knew she couldn't stop them, but she could perform one last act of defiance. She slammed her fist onto the console, not on the power switch, but on the emergency data purge key, wiping her illegal link. You want the data? Go dig it out yourself. One of the Sentinels raised his shock maul. Edda, no. Ryn cried. The Sentinel didn't hit her. He brought the maul down on the ancient terminal, showering the room in sparks and fractured silicon. The core's connection was severed. In the ensuing chaos, a calm, automated voice chimed from Ryn's wristcom. Piper, acknowledged. Power failure detected. Sector 7G. Archives sealed. Urgent. An engineered accident. Form 212E has been auto-filed by Magister Corvel. R. Halver, your presence in a restricted zone during a 212E is a Tier 1 infraction. Please remain where you are. A disciplinary team will arrive in 4 to 6 standard weeks. Corvel ignored it. He straightened his tunic, his composure restored, though his face remained ashen. Archivist Halver, you are suspended, pending a council hearing on informational contamination. Shipbreaker Voss, he glanced at Edda, who was nursing her hand. You are detained for willful destruction of archival property and illegal technological interfacing. Sentinels, take them. They were hauled out of the lab, Ryn struggling, Edda cold and silent. As they were dragged past Corvel, Ryn made one last, desperate appeal. What about the signal, Corvel? The reset. You're just going to hide from it. Corvel stopped and looked at him, his eyes filled with a profound, bureaucratic pity. We cannot hide, Archivist. We can only file. We will contain the core, sever its power, and hope that whatever is out there mistakes its silence for our extinction. He tapped his slate. It's the only procedure we have left. Ryn watched as the Sentinels sealed the lab door, entombing the core and the truth in the dark. He was ruined. Edda was arrested, and something was coming from the stars. Part 5. The founder class Loophole disgraced, detained, and denied coffee. Ryn finds the one weapon he has left, the system itself. Ryn was not in a cell. A cell would have been, in a way, a promotion. It would have implied he was a threat. Instead, he was in his cubicle. Magister Corvel, with a bureaucratic precision that was almost artistic in its cruelty, had simply suspended his existence. He was to wait here, at his own desk, for the disciplinary team that Piper had assured him would arrive in 4 to 6 standard weeks. He was a piece of pending paperwork. The archival sector was tomb-quiet, the red emergency lights replaced by the standard, humming, ozone-tinged luminescence. He tried his terminal. User, R. Halver. Status, suspended, Tier 1. Access denied. He was a ghost in his own life. He could see his colleagues in other cubicles, meticulously not looking at him, their heads bent over their own meaningless data entry. They knew. News of a 212E engineered accident, followed by the appearance of Sentinels, traveled faster than any official memo. Ryn Halver was informational contraband. He felt the hollow ache of defeat. Edda was gone, taken to a council holding bay. The core was gone, buried back in the dark of the stacks, its voice silenced, its warning ignored. And Corvel knew. That was the worst part. He knew the terrible truth and had chosen, decades ago, to build his life on top of the necessary fiction. Hope is the primary structural component, he'd said. Ryn looked at the coffee vat, its single green ready light blinking mockingly. He was thirsty. He was exhausted. He fumbled for his credit sheet. VAT, dispensing. That'll be 0.5 credits. He inserted the chit. The machine word, then stopped with a decisive thunk. VAT, transaction denied. Credit chit, R, Halver 3A. Status, suspended. Reason, Tier 1 infraction, Ref 212E. Please contact your administrator. Ryn slumped, putting his forehead against the cool, metallic surface of the machine. He was locked out of his job, his future, and now, even his caffeine substitute. VAT, 0.1 credit fine. Metaphor, Tier 1. Despair, deducted from future earnings. I don't have any future earnings, he whispered to the vat. He shuffled back to his cubicle, the silence of the archives pressing in. He sat, hands dangling between his knees, staring at the gray partition. This was the dark night of the soul, and it smelled like dust and old insulation. He replayed Corvell's logic. We're the dregs, the quarantine zone, the reset. It was a cold, pragmatic, and utterly hopeless logic. Corvell was treating humanity as a disease, and his job was to manage the symptoms well enough that the builder, the ring's doctor, didn't decide to just sterilize the patient. Corvell's plan was to be quiet, to pull the blanket over their heads and pray the monster in the dark would go away. But Ryn was an archivist. His one defining principle was that data mattered. You didn't hide from the truth, you cataloged it. And the Corps' data, it wasn't just a history lesson. It was an active event. My activation appears to have triggered a response. External telemetry ping. Vector locked. Corvell's plan had a catastrophic flaw. He assumed that by silencing the core, he was silencing the signal. But the core wasn't the source of the ping, it was the target. The builders weren't listening to the core. They were looking for it. Silencing it now was like a mouse, having already tripped the motion sensor, deciding the best plan was to stand very, very still. The trap was already sprung. The pings were still coming. The reset was still on its way. Corvell's containment wasn't safety. It was just ignorance. It was a Form 12J, remains of a nutrient synthesizer, filed to hide a bomb. Ryn sat up straight. He was still suspended. He was still powerless. He had no access to the core, no way to reach Edda, no one to appeal to. He was a non-person, but a non-person still had his wristcom. He looked at the small, gray device. His terminal was locked. His credit was frozen. But the comm was still logged into the ring's most basic, most ubiquitous, and most powerful system. Piper, the AI that loved forms. The AI that Corvell had used to file the 212E and lock him down. Piper was a brittle, hyperliteral fool. It couldn't understand metaphors. It couldn't be persuaded, and it had no concept of necessary fictions. It only understood procedure, and Ryn Halver knew procedure. His fingers flew across the tiny interface. He wasn't accessing the secure archival net. He was opening a simple maintenance request. Halver, submit ticket 909A. Urgent, catastrophic systems failure imminent. The reply was instant. Piper, acknowledged. Ticket 909A. Please cite authority. User Halver, Archivist, Junior, status, suspended. You're not authorized to declare catastrophic events. Ryn took a shaky breath. This was the moment. He was bluffing the entire ring. Halver, citing authority of Data Core Unit 734, call sign, Odysseus. Security Protocol, Exodus 7. He waited. 1 second. 2. The silence stretched, and he was certain the Sentinels were about to round the corner. Then the comm buzzed. Piper, querying. Exodus 7, protocol not recognized. Odysseus call sign. Cross-referencing pre-cataclysm manifests. Another pause. Ryn wasn't breathing. Piper, warning. A priority conflict has been detected. Magister Corvell's Form 212E, engineered accident, is a Level 4 containment order. Data Core Unit 734, Odysseus, is... The comm went silent for a full 5 seconds. Piper, Data Core Unit 734, is a Level 1 Founder Class artifact. Ryn's heart hammered against his ribs. Founder Class, the highest, most mythical priority. A classification Ryn had only ever seen in index preambles. Piper. Protocol 1 Alpha dictates that a founder class artifact's data takes precedence over all subsequent administrative directives, including Level 4 containment orders. Your suspended status, as it pertains to this artifact, is temporarily overridden. He had done it. He'd created a logic loop. He'd used Corvell's bureaucracy to bypass Corvell. Piper. Welcome, Acting Liaison for Unit 734. Please state the nature of the maintenance issue. Ryn looked up. His colleagues were still typing, oblivious. The coffee vat was still blinking. The world was exactly as it had been 2 minutes ago, but Ryn was no longer a ghost. He was the most powerful person in the Echo Garden. He began to type. Halver. The maintenance issue is the reset. An external monitoring array has been triggered by Unit 734's activation. It is pinging the ring, causing latent systems to activate. This is an unscheduled, ring-wide builder protocol. Corvell's containment is hiding the symptoms of a full system collapse. Piper. This is a severe allegation. Reset is a non-standard term. Do you mean a system-wide diagnostic and restoration, Form 1A? Sure, Piper, Ryn whispered. Let's call it that. Halver, yes. A Form 1A. But it's involuntary. It's an intrusion. Piper. An involuntary 1A is a contradiction. All 1A procedures must be logged via mandatory bulletins to all sectors to ensure procedural compliance. Ryn stared at the screen, the entire plan clicking into place, brilliant and terrifying. Piper had to tell people. It was the rule. Halver, exactly. Magister Corvell's 212. E is blocking the mandatory bulletins. This is a violation of Protocol 1 Alpha. You must broadcast the nature of the threat immediately. Piper. Verifying. Conflict confirmed. Form 212. E is suppressing mandatory maintenance alerts. This is a Tier 9 procedural infraction. Preparing ring-wide corrective bulletin. Halver, stop. Ryn typed, his hands shaking. If the bulletin went out now, Corvell would just countermand it, declare him insane. He needed proof. We cannot broadcast without full data. We need to reestablish a link with Unit 734. And I need technical support. I need shipbreaker, Edda Voss. Piper, querying. Edda Voss, shipbreaker, guild status, detained ref, 212E. Halver. She is essential personnel for this founder class emergency. Release her. Citing Protocol 1 Alpha. Piper, acknowledged. Redisigne essentiel personnel, Edda Voss. A grav shuttle is being dispatched to her holding cell. A disciplinary note will be placed in Magister Corvell's file. Ryn leaned back, a wild, anxious grin spreading across his face. He just filed a form that freed his friend and overrode the most powerful man on the ring. Now, all he had to do was save the world. Part 6. The mandatory bulletin, an archivist, a shipbreaker, and a very literal AI file the most important form in human history. The grav shuttle, an automated council model, hissed to a stop at the archival sector's main entrance. The door slid open, and Edda Voss stepped out. She was clean, a novelty, and her face was a thundercloud. Ryn, she said, her voice a low growl as she stormed toward his cubicle. You filed a founder-class loophole? You pulled me out of a holding cell with a form. It was a Tier 1 infraction, citing Protocol 1 Alpha, Ryn said, grabbing his pack. He was buzzing with a terrifying, high-wire anxiety. It was the only way. We have to go. Now. Go where? Ryn, I was detained. They were threatening to reassess my guild membership. And what's this about, a probationary liaison? You're essential personnel, Ryn said, pushing her toward the service corridor. Now, can you relink the core to the terminal? The one Corvell's men smashed. Can I? Ryn, it was a pre-cataclysm antique. They hit it with a shock maul. It's slag. So no. Ryn's panic spiked. I didn't say no, Edda grumbled, pulling a micro-splicer from her boot. I just said it was slag. It'll be ugly. Space tape required. They reached the sealed stacks. The red emergency lights were still on, casting long, menacing shadows. As they ran down the dusty aisles, an amplified voice echoed from the main corridor. Archivist Halver, stand down. It was Corvell. Your access is revoked. Sentinels, secure the sector. He's fast, Ryn breathed, fumbling with the lab's manual door release. He's a magister, Ryn. He has an override for your override. Edda shoved him through the door. Get the core. I'll get the terminal. They burst into the assessment lab. The core sat on the grav card, silent. The terminal was a smoking ruin, its screen shattered. Okay, Edda said, surveying the damage. This is bad. That's not just a terminal. It was a network buffer. We can't just plug the core into the main ring net. The architectures are incompatible. It's like trying to file a report by shouting it at a rock. We don't need to plug it into the net, Ryn said, his mind racing. We just need to plug it into Piper. He unclipped his wrist comm and held it out. It's already our link. Piper recognizes Protocol 1 Alpha. Can you splice the core's data port into this? Edda stared at the comm. You want me to link an Earth-era Founder-class alien prison key to your watch? Yes. This is the stupidest, most brilliant, most Form 17B for courage under fire thing you have ever. Give it here. Edda grabbed the comm and went to work, her fingers a blur, stripping microfilaments. The lab door hissed open. Corvell stood there, flanked by the two sentinels, their shock mauls raised. It's over, Ryn, Corvell said, his voice flat. I filed a 299A informational quarantine. Piper is now locked in a heuristic loop. Your 1 Alpha priority is nullified. Ryn's stomach dropped. He was too late. You're broadcasting our death warrant, Corvell said, advancing. You've shown the builders that the virus is not only active, but it's accessed restricted data. The reset is coming, and you've just ensured it will be fatal. The black core on the cart spoke, its voice coming from its own internal speaker. Warning, external telemetry pulse at 80%. System-wide resonance detected. The reset protocol is not a data wipe. Query, what is structural sterilization pulse? A cold silence filled the room. Sterilization, Corvell whispered, his face ashen. It's going to burn the ring. See? Ryn said, his voice shaking. Your quarantine doesn't work. Hiding is not a plan. It's just waiting to die. My way, we had a chance. A day. A year, Corvell shot back. Your way, we die in the next 5 minutes. Notified. We have to tell them. Ryn shouted. We have to tell the builders. Show them we're not what they think. That we're more than the dregs who landed here. And how do you propose to do that, Archivist? File a 12C indemnity waiver with God. Ryn looked at Edda. She was sweating, her tongue stuck out in concentration. Piper isn't the only one who's brittle and literal, Ryn said, an idea forming, so terrifying his knees knocked. Corvell, your 299A. What's its primary condition? Total data containment. Why? And what's the one thing that overrides a 299A? Ryn was pacing, the pieces falling into place. Corvell's eyes widened in horror. A 300A, full public disclosure. But that's a suicide pact. It's only 4 inescapable end-of-world scenarios. It concedes total failure. It's not failure if we have a new plan, Ryn said. He looked at the core. Piper, listen to me. Piper, acknowledged, the voice replied from his detached comm. I am currently in a loop. Please define loop. Piper, Magister Corvell has confirmed the reset is a structural sterilization pulse. This is an inescapable end-of-world scenario. I am invoking Form 300A, full public disclosure. Piper, querying. Form 300A, a suicide pact. Acknowledged. This overrides Form 299A. Heuristic loop, broken. Awaiting instructions for disclosure. Corvell looked utterly defeated. What have you done? Piper, Ryn said, his heart hammering. Patch me in. I'll ring Bulletin. Voice. Now. Piper, acknowledged. Live feed in 10, 9. Ryn, you can't. Corvell started. He's filing. Edda snarled, not looking up. Let him file. Sentinel, stop him. Corvell ordered. The Sentinel lunged. Edda kicked the grav card hard. It slid across the floor, blocking the Sentinel's path. He has an approved form, she yelled. 3, 2, 1. You're alive, Archivist Halver. Ryn's voice, shaky and small, suddenly boomed from his own comm, echoing from the hall. And he knew, from every terminal, every workshop, every algae vat on the entire ring. This is Junior Archivist Ryn Halver. From his sealed stacks. He swallowed. The first step was a lie. We didn't discover the garden. We were imprisoned here. Our ancestors, they destroyed Earth. They ran. Silence. The whole ring was listening. For centuries, we've been living in a quarantine. The builders of this ring left a reset protocol in case the virus ever woke up. Today, his voice cracked. We woke up. He took a deep breath. The reset is coming. It's a sterilization pulse. Magister Corvell's plan was to hide, to make us small. But that's not a plan. That's just an echo. Warning, the Core's voice cut in, suddenly patched by Piper into the main broadcast. Telemetry pulse at 99%. Done, Edda yelled, holding up the comm. Now a spiderweb of glowing filaments connected to the Core. We can't hide. Ryn's voice rang out, gaining strength. So we have to do the one thing they don't expect. We have to show them. We have to talk to them. Edda out. Linking. Edda yelled. I'm routing the Core's data through Piper's Bulletin feed. It's all or nothing. 100%. Pulse initiated the Core, stated calmly. A bone-deep thrum shook the archives. The red emergency lights died, plunging the lab into darkness. Ryn's voice was gone. The broadcast was dead. Ryn, Edda whispered in the black. Then a new light flickered. It wasn't red. It was a brilliant, pure, steady white. It came from a main corridor, from the ceiling panels, from the terminal Edda had declared slag. The room was flooded with a light Ryn had only ever seen in illustrations of the primary. The comm in Edda's hand crackled. It wasn't Ryn. It wasn't Piper. It was the Core. Interface achieved. Builder protocol renegotiating. We are not the Exodus 7 Scout. We are the Echo Garden civilization. A new voice joined it. Not a voice of words, but of pure, resonant data translated by the Core. New designation. Habitat. Status. Probationary. Awaiting next report. The external ping was gone. Piper's voice returned, sounding almost cheerful. Piper, system-wide diagnostic complete. All systems now operating at 74% efficiency, up from 19%. Food synthesizers, atmosphere processors, and transit spines are operational. A full report, Form 1B, will be issued. Magister Corvell, your Form 212, EE, and 299, A have been voided. Please file Form 88R, reversal of unjust disciplinary action. 4R, Halver and Edda Voss. Corvell stood in the brilliant new light, his face a mask of stunned disbelief. The sentinels had lowered their mauls. He looked at Ryn, not with anger, but with a profound, terrifying awe. You gambled, Archivist. You bet our entire existence on a memo. No, Ryn said, his legs finally giving out as he slid to the floor. I bet on us. We know the truth now, Magister. We can't be dregs anymore. 2 days later, Ryn was at his desk. The light in the archives was bright, the air clean. His colleagues were talking to him, nodding. One even offered him a real fruit, grown in a newly activated biome. Edda slumped into the chair beside him, handing him a bulb of coffee. It's still mildly brown, she announced. But it's hot, Ryn said, smiling. He sipped it. His terminal chimed. A message from Corvell. A summons to a full council hearing. They want to hear the Odysseus data, Ryn said. All of it. Anxious? Edda asked, bumping his shoulder. Terrified, Ryn admitted. I have to speak. In front of everyone. Just pretend they're all mag boots you need to kick. Ryn laughed. A new notification appeared on his screen, routing from the AI. Piper. Urgent. Your request. Ticket 449B 411, replacement mag coil, size 10, has been processed. Item is en route. Under it, a new line blinked, flag for his attention. Piper. Also, your request for Form 17B, Courage Under Fire, has been logged. This is a non-standard form. Please define courage. Ryn looked at the screen, then at Edda, then out at the busy, newly lit archive. I think, he said, and began to type. I'm finally ready to answer that.